Hello, this is Sydney Blanchard, and welcome to my podcast. I have the sweetheart of pro rodeo with us today, Hailey Kinsel. Hailey, you had an absolute phenomenal year. From the outside looking in, it looked like a fairy tale. Tell us about it.
It has been a really awesome year. I have a great horse, so she kind of makes every run pretty awesome for me. And I have a great backup horse, so he makes the other runs awesome. And I have a good support system. So for me, on my end, the parts that people don't get to see, those have been great too. There's ups and downs, but for the most part, I've had a really good year, and I'm really thankful.
We all love Sister. Tell us all about her. In my opinion, there's not a horse going today that has a bigger heart.
Thank you. I appreciate you noticing. I mean, she does try. She tries so hard, and I know she's athletic and has the speed and the quickness necessary, but more than anything, she just tries. She really throws down every run, and really the only times that we mess up or something goes wrong, it happens to be when I'm not all in. I'm ready to just throw down in that run as well, because she is always just 120%, and I better be ready. So yeah, she's really fun to ride for that reason. Like conditions are just right. It's going to be super fast. Even if they're not, she's still going to do a good job.
I know for me, running down the alley at the Thomas and Mack on a horse that you trained is a completely different feeling. Tell us what that means to you.
It does mean a lot. It just kind of makes you feel even more proud of the accomplishment, and I also think that when you're in a pressure situation like that, having something like a horse that you train that you can truly rely on your training and fall back on what you did at home for years before you ever got to the point where you can make a run on that horse, and you can remember trotting around the barrel or loping around one for the first time. And when you can fall back to that in your head and just get out of the pressure for a little bit, it's always nice. And you know that no matter what happens, you're still going to have a bond with that horse by the end of it.
Absolutely, and it's wonderful to hear that. Tell me a little bit about the training process with you and your mom and sister and the ups and downs, and why the winning and the success that you're having now means so much to you.
Training one is always got ups and downs, whether you have help or not. Thankfully, I did. I always have, and my mom, since I was young, has always been there, but she's also never really given me anything. Like she asked me to work for it so that it was my idea, whether I wanted to do this barrel racing thing or not. And so she's always been there for support and for help and advice, but also kind of like, here, take this horse and see what you can do. And so that's kind of how I was raised. I'm not going to say I have trained horses, but I have learned how to train horses since I was like 12. And having somebody to ride with constantly every day that does know what they're doing and does a really good job is always not just helpful. I would say it's critical for learning to be a good trainer. And so Sis was probably, I guess, numbers-wise, maybe the 6th or 7th horse we had trained all the way through together. And so that was it's special, of course, to any horse you went on that you trained or that has a connection with your family. And she does. She's very deeply rooted in our family. So it means a whole lot. And anytime I had a problem with her or anything, I could call Mom, and she didn't always have the answer, but, she would have a different way to do it or something else. And we had to learn a lot on this one because she's quite different than a lot of horses we've rode. But she had her own style, and I think she's one that taught both of us more than anything that horses are individuals and they have ways that work for them and their body type and their attitude of turning and running and their style. And sometimes you have to bend your style to go with theirs. I would say more often than not, you do have to bend a little bit, even though you have a set way of training and you have your methods and stuff, but they need to be able to tell you what they want to do too, and you have to be flexible to form fit to their body style and their turning style and stuff like that.
When did you know that she was special?
We always loved her, and she was always going to be a forever horse, I should say, for us, and special in that sense to our hearts because of her bloodlines and the reason we have her. So I had an older half sister to her on the maternal side, and we'd wanted to buy the brood mare after having that older half sister, and she'd already been sold, but Dylan Mundorf had this last filly left sister, and of course being by Dinero, we were impressed because grew up watching Sherry on Dinero and of course Stingray, and so went ahead and bought her, and she was always difficult and always had an attitude and always a tick lazy and kind of wanted to just do things her way on her time. And so for that reason, we got attached to her little stubbornness about her, and always knew she was going to be our family. And then when she started clocking right off the bat, that was pretty much a teller that she was going to be competitive in this sport. Like, I think the third maybe time I entered her, she ran in the 1D at a jackpot, and she's pretty much been a 1D horse since then. She didn't really have any setbacks. Like, once she got started going forward, it was like full four-wheel drive in a good direction.
Tell me a little bit about that. I mean, you watched Sherry. She was obviously, somebody you looked up to in the sport of barrel racing. Who else have you looked up to? And who, did you kind of mirror, to say, in order to reach your dreams? Or
I had a lot of idols growing up, as far as even people I didn't know that I just watched from afar. Like, I was the kid that stayed up late on a school night to watch every NFR, but always had my homework done beforehand so that I could sit there and watch NFR. And like that, back then, it came on at like 11 o'clock at night. As I got older, my parents were even more okay with me staying up late to watch it, being draggy the next day for school, because it was just what I wanted to see. So I watched Charmaine, I watched Sherry. I remember watching, I could almost name everybody that's been to the NFR from in all the early 2000s, because that's what I was doing, was I was keeping up with that and watching. And then I also had people, and this is where I was really blessed, I had a lot of good trainers and barrel racers around me as I was growing up. I lived 10 miles from Corley Cox, who made the NFR in the late 80s. Lisa Anderson was right down the road, and still both of those are still very close friends of mine. So I definitely learned a lot from just going to every jackpot barrel race I went to close by. Those two were there, and they had all their horses and were working horses, and I was just watching. I was like a sponge. And we'd stay after the barrel race and work colts, and they'd be out there working their colts, and that was fun. And then as I was youth rodeo, and Liz Pinkston was hauling her kids, and so she was around, and I just thought she was the greatest thing ever. So pretty much anybody that I could get around, I did, and I was really lucky in that sense, going to all those barrel races and watching the
just now. But it's great to hear, when we hear people that we look up to right now talk about, their past and what they did before, they were in the limelight. It really makes it to where it seems possible for others to do the same, because you have a common story in that you would stay up late, watch the NFR, loved barrel racing, just soaked in any information you could get from anybody that was successful around you because you loved it so much. And now all of your hard work has paid off, and you have all of these fans, and you're going into your second consecutive NFR with more to come as season leader. Absolute dream come true. How do you handle, the pressure?
I'm sure you can relate to this, in that I always have really wonderful people, and I think it's from the goodness of their heart that they say, oh, I just wish I had your life. You're living the dream. It's just amazing. I wish I could be like you. And yes, not everybody can go to the finals, but I do want them to know that you absolutely can live your dreams, because I'm just like everybody else in that sense. Like you said, I grew up just craving it, and I worked my tail off because I craved it, and I still have ups and downs, just like anybody. I still have the exact same flat tires on my rig and in life that everybody else is going to deal with. So it's a matter of learning how to handle everything that comes at you. And so the pressure of competing isn't that strong. Competing is what I love. So that's just great. That's the icing on the cake, But I think it's more pressure of just being able to handle all the setbacks that come at you, that no matter how good you get or how many dreams you reach, you're still going to have them. There's still days that I feel pretty low. And so I have to remember, it doesn't matter what people see. It doesn't matter as much, what they think is going on, because they're always going to think your life is great. You just handle your own situations, good and bad, as best as you can. And in the end, you give the glory to God. So if there is glory to come of it, you just pass that on, because packing that around on your own back isn't what we were meant to do anyways. So that just kind of helps me keep a balance of it when I do feel pressure from outside forces, like people's expectations and what they think you should be able to do because they think your life is so great. I just remember to pass that off to God, that anything good comes from Him, and any of the other bad stuff is typical life stuff that we all have to deal with, and how you deal with it is what shapes you as a person and allows you to handle the pressure in the future.
Well, I think you're absolutely fantastic. And one of my favorite memories of this year is when I saw you at the WCRA Rodeo in Las Vegas. And there was a gal that went with you, and she was telling me, I was going through some stuff with social media bullying, I guess. And she said that you had, recently went through something similar along the same lines. And basically that you just said, it doesn't matter what I want to say. I have to be a good Christian.
Right. Oh my gosh, yes. Emily, all my good friends, Emily Page, and everybody has heard me vent about that a little bit, and like I said, can't say anything on social media, but it is tough. It's a tough world we live in now, in the fact that everything you do and say is under a microscope, and everyone's going to see it. And what we've, even talked about more recently than that is 99% of people that see the stuff you post are going to think about you a certain way. They're going to picture the perfect life you have. And if you mess up or you get frustrated, or things aren't going exactly well, you're not winning, considering, the only runs we post are the winning ones. I'm not going to post the bad ones just because it makes my horse look not so great, and stuff like that. So, I'm going to post the winning runs. So they're going to expect to see that. And if they don't, those 99% are still going to think, well, I guess she's just not doing everything right. And I guess she's not winning because she's not entering, and blah, blah, blah. And I think right in that time period, I hadn't gone to a rodeo in a month and a half after Houston. I just gave my horse a break, and I had been, dealing with her horse must be hurt or must be having family troubles that she's staying home. And I laugh because the person that matters, I guess, or the group of people that matters is that 1%, the 1% that are going to be affected positively by what you post and what you're doing and what you tell the world, what your message is. And there will be always a different group of 99 that don't understand and aren't going to understand because they're going to see what they want to see. But there's 1% that you could actually affect in a positive way and change their life for the better, and let them know that you're just like them, and that all we have to do is just rely on God and then work hard with what we've got. Those are the people that need you to be a positive force on social media and need you to be that good Christian and hold up that light. And yeah, like you said, there are always going to be some, and it's always going to get you down a little bit, but you have to just remember that 1% that you are helping.
Wow, what a great story, and what a great, you're an absolute inspiration. It's been fantastic talking to you. I want to talk a little bit more about what are you going to do different this year at the NFR? Everything the same? Or do you have a new game plan? How are you getting ready for it? Tell us all about it.
I've got a couple things I'm changing, a couple things I'm doing different. It's so nice going back after going and now knowing where everything is, what time I have to leave to get places and stuff like that. I remember last last year preparing is kind of totally different almost than preparing this year. Last year it was just straight anticipation for, I don't know what's going to happen, how do I handle it all, how do I do this and that. Now that I know those things, I can actually plan a little better of ways that are even better to do things, not just get them done. So I'm planning my signing schedule a little bit differently so I can have a couple days off to just rest and maybe pack on more in those days that I am on